Hello, everybody. This is Denise Barrett, the host of The Real Deal. I'm a realtor and land broker in North Texas, and I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about this particular subject. It's kind of personal in the sense that we're talking about money and a score that reflects how well you handle it, but it's really important. There's a lot of mystery, and I want to get rid of some of that for you and make it a much more understandable topic. Let's begin by talking about what it is. The credit score is a 3-digit number that reflects your credit worthiness. Kind of think about it like a report card for how well you handle money. The score ranges from 300 to 850. The higher the score, the more likely it is that you will receive a mortgage loan, and it will have terms that you have any interest at all in paying. You may notice when you are looking at your scores, depending on whether you're looking at Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax, that the numbers are different. They're kind of in the same category, but there can be up to a 30-point difference between those. That is because not every creditor reports their loan to all three of the credit reporting bureaus. Remember, we talked about that in the prior conversation, buyer know thyself. And you won't know who's reporting your loan to whom, ever. Not only that, the lender has their own formula for calculating a credit score, which could also vary from those three. So, it's a lot like playing financial whack-a-mole. You feel like you're trying to catch a moving target. And that is true. That is exactly what you're doing. So I don't want the movement of the credit score to be bothersome to you. That's normal. And it reflects your activities over the course of a month. So you want to see some variation. Hopefully you want to see it moving up, but that's not something to be concerning to you for. No one's trying to pull the wool over your eyes because the score is different. So how is the score calculated? It's not a magic number that comes down from on high. There's a mathematical formula, and we'll go over those parameters to kind of put that in some sort of perspective for you. There are 5 categories. Each category is weighted by importance. So the first category is payment history. This shouldn't come as a surprise to you. All lenders want to know that if they lend you a sum of money, you have a history of paying it all back. It will show if you've made your payments on time. It will show if you've missed a payment. It will show how late those payments were. And it shows how recently you may have missed a payment. All of those are really important from a lender's perspective. The second category is how much do you owe in relation to how much credit is available to you. This is where we talk about balances on accounts, specifically on credit cards. These higher balances are going to lower your credit score. It may show that you are in some level of financial hardship or not managing your money effectively. You would want your credit card balances to be 30% or less than the available credit balance. The third category is length of credit history. This is weighted at about 15%, and it's kind of tricky. So lenders want to know that over time, you've managed your money effectively. So this is where we talk about unused accounts, maybe that you haven't used in a long time. You got an email or a phone call or some sort of notification that says, hey, you haven't used this account in 4 years. If you don't make some sort of charge on it, we're going to close it. You may want to consider making a small purchase with that card to keep that account open. Remember, lenders want to see a history of being able to manage money. So keep that in mind when you're considering what accounts you have and what accounts you are operating with, and what accounts you may think about wanting to close. I'd have that conversation with your lender to see their take on it, to see if there are accounts that you should just leave alone for the purposes of getting the mortgage, or whether there's something that would require action. So the fourth category is credit mix. Lenders want to know that you can manage money from all kinds of accounts. So installment loans, like your car loan, credit cards, mortgages, past mortgages. They want to know that there's a good overall picture of how you handle money. And they're going to be taking a look at that. Again, it's only about 10%, but if you've only had a car payment and have no credit cards, or vice versa, if you only have credit cards and never had a car payment, just know that that mix is going to affect your credit score. New credit. This is where we get into going to Nebraska Furniture Mart because you're all excited because you're about to buy a new house and you want to buy new furniture for it. And you put all your furniture on order and open up an account. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. Remember that the history of your credit is one of the important factors. If you start opening up a lot of new accounts, it may reflect that suddenly you're in some sort of financial distress, and it will shorten your credit history. So wait until you close and then go to NFM. So we talked about how the score was calculated. Now let's talk about where you fall in that range. Remember, the range is 300 to 850. So a score of 800 above is considered exceptional. Lenders will have no issue at all providing a product for you and giving you good terms. Only about 20 to 23% of Americans fall into that category. So if you don't feel bad. The next category is 749 to 799. This is considered very good. If you are in this category, you are still in great shape. The lender's going to have a number of products that are going to be something that you want to take a look at as far as your mortgage, and they're going to have very good rates. So keep it up. That's a really good score. Now let's talk about where most Americans sit. This is a score range of 670 to 739. This is considered a good score. So this isn't something to be shy about or ashamed about. There are ways that you can increase that score if you want to, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's still pretty good. Let's talk about a credit score of 580 to 669. This is considered fair. It's like getting a C on a history test. You may be eligible for a subprime loan, but the interest rates are going to be very high. You may want to consider waiting until next year to make your purchase so that your credit score is higher and you can have a loan at an interest rate that makes a lot more sense. A score of 579 and below is considered poor. You will not be eligible for a mortgage at that rate. Now, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong necessarily. It could simply mean that you don't have a credit history. Kids in high school, college students, folks who have not opened any sort of line of credit, have not made car payments, simply don't have a history for the credit bureaus to look at. So if this is where you sit, think about a strategy. You can talk to a financial person. You can talk to a lender that you're going to be thinking about going down the road about a responsible way to start and increase your credit score over time so that when it does come time to make a purchase, you are in great shape. So we talked a good bit about the credit score and how it's calculated, where you sit in that range of 300 to 850. And now the question comes, can you affect it in a positive way? And the answer is yes, of course. Remember, this is a moving target and it changes every month based on your activity over the course of the month. The first thing that you can do is simply watch it. If you have not taken advantage of your credit card or your lender's program that allows for credit score monitoring, you may want to consider doing that. You will receive a monthly score, so you see what they see. They will send you notifications if your credit balances are creeping up, or if you have opened a new line of credit. If you haven't, then that is a red flag that there's something that you need to take care of right away. The one thing that I will say about this is whatever you choose, your credit card account, your bank account, Credit Karma, whatever you're going to use, stick with it. And that's because each lender, each credit card, each bank may be reporting to a different credit bureau. And you don't want to flip around because it will skew your view on how you're doing. So if you decide to use your Discover and their credit monitoring service, then stick with that. If you use Credit Karma, stick with that. It may not end up being the score that your lender gets, but that doesn't matter. Right now, we just want to watch it and see our progress as we improve over time. The second way that we can affect the credit score, and this is going to have the biggest effect, and that is by paying your bills on time. Always. 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 Now, if you are memory challenged, like some people, and your bill has an automatic debit payment plan so that you don't have to remember when it's due, you may want to consider taking advantage of that. Missed payments have a tremendous effect on your credit score. Now, there are some people who don't want to do that. They don't want to have a bill automatically debited from their bank account, and that's fine. But if that is how you handle your finances, you're going to need to be extra diligent to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. The third way to keep your credit score moving in that direction is by keeping your credit card balances low. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Keeping the balances 30% or less of the available credit line. Less is better. If you see them creeping up, you may want to make extra payments or pay specific attention to that card. Those credit card balances can creep up on you. So be diligent about those. The next one may seem counterintuitive, and that is to keep unused accounts open. Say you have a Citibank card, you've had it for 7-8 years, you haven't used it in a couple of years. Should you just shut it down? You might want to rethink that. Remember, the length of your credit history is an important factor when it comes to your credit score. So if you get a notification saying, hey, we really want you to use your card, you may want to consider making a small purchase, paying it off timely to keep that account active. And here's the last one. Don't be in the habit of opening up lines of credit. This is where the mall will trip you up. Let's say you're at Macy's at the Memorial Day sale and you have a bunch in your cart, and that very lovely cashier says, hey, would you like to save 15% on your purchases today by opening a Macy's account? No, don't do that. You will affect your credit history by doing that. Remember, they take an average of all of those accounts, and every time you do that, you shorten your credit history. Plus, seriously, do you really need another account open? I had a lot of fun talking to you guys today. I hope you found it helpful. This is a topic that gets kind of fuzzy and there's a lot of noise around it. So I hope I helped to clear away some of that noise. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. Remember, we deposit new information every Tuesday, and we would love to have you back. So thanks a bunch for spending time with me today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.